Shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online, or else KosherTorah.com. I want to share with you some revelations, insights that I had over the Rosh HaShana holiday, which is a tradition now I've been doing for a couple of years. Normally, I only share this material with members of my school, but I just felt that, as you'll see in the conversation, that what I need to share now, it needs to be for a wider audience. Let me just share with you this. For those of you who don't know me or what I do, I have been trained in, teach, follow the old school of prophetic Kabbalah, not taught from books, but from, real experience of, how to ascend. It's kind of hard to try to sum up 30 years of what I do in 30 seconds, but I follow a tradition that's actually recorded by the Baal Shem Tov, a very famous tradition that on Rosh HaShana, the beginning of the year, we do something called an aliyah. An aliyah is an ascent. It is half astral projection and half something else. And the details of it are really not important for this video. I mean, if you're interested in how the mechanics of all this work, read my books, Let There Be Knowing, Using the Holy Names of God. I pretty much outlined the system there. But anyway, last year, when I performed an aliyah, I asked the pressing question with regards to current events. Are we on the verge of a nuclear war? And the message that I got then, a year ago, clearly was, no, there will not be a nuclear war this year. And the year has passed now, and well, thank God that that's proven to be true. So again, this year, I performed the traditional ascent meditations, and I was blessed by heaven that, again, I was able to make contact and receive information that I think is necessary to share here with you guys. Now, I did this 3 times. Actually, I did it last night, which was the second night of the holiday, first night of the holiday, which is Shabbat. And surprisingly, the night before the holiday, I had a most profound revelation and insight. And due to the nature of the material, I'm going to actually share it with you in reverse order, starting with the most recent, going back to the original revelation I had. Well, under the circumstances of current events, we're all looking around, seeing our world falling apart around us. Western civilization's being destroyed. You don't need to be a prophet or to understand that. But in order to understand what's going on and why, that is what I wanted to, if you will, as the name of my book, Behind the Veil, peek behind the veil to see what's going on in the higher dimensions that are influencing all these things. Now, look, let me be blunt. When we talk about psychic ascent and the like, you got to recognize it's not only us religious guys doing this. There are people out there, and I know I probably shouldn't be talking about this, and I might get myself in trouble, but you know what? It's not like it's a secret. People have augmented psychic training technologically, all types of what they call now psychotronics. You have artificial computer-based type of work in this field, and many forces, many powers, many governments are very actively involved with all of this. You read about this, all of the psychic stuff, the remote viewing stuff that comes out of the government. Well, our governments are not as stupid as you think they are, and they have good reason to keep hidden what they keep hidden. But aside from all of that, last night I performed the ceremony, the rituals, and the like, and I went into the trance, and I ascended above. Now, my question, like it was last year, same this year, are we on the verge of nuclear war? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. Well, it's not like heaven wasn't prepared for my question. It hasn't like I've been asking, praying about this for a long time. When I first experienced, I saw myself as if in an ocean. You're like you're on the beach when like you're midway up into the water. That's how I experienced. Now remember something: vision language, dream language is always symbolic, right? Nothing literal there, just like you read in the Bible. So in this respect, I understood the imagery that I was being shown. Water is always a sign of Torah, and it's always a sign of mercy, for that matter. So I didn't see any fire, no brimstone. I was in the ocean. And all of a sudden, this wave comes and boom, smashes me in the chest. And as it did, I heard the voice. You can call it the bat call whatever you want. And the words were simple. I understood them clearly. I know Hebrew. And they were this. El Rahum Hanun Erech Hesed Emet. And I understood my answer right away. Right? God is long-suffering, faithful, merciful. These are the 13 attributes, the first 7 of them, if you will, from the book of Exodus. God is merciful. God is patient. And I understood what that message was. If you look around today, our civilization, like I said, is being destroyed. Yeah, by very specific hand that's out there. I'll get to that in a minute. But God is gracious and God is patient. God does not work in the same way that we do. The message came through to me very clearly. God is giving us another year as a last chance to do what we call in Hebrew teshuvah, return. And return does not mean returning to religion or ethnicity or cultural expression. It means for the individual to get oneself right with God, to transcend all of these nonsensical, divisive divisions that are being created to separate us, and to learn that united we stand, or divided we will fall. The message came through to me clear that there are a lot of righteous people out there in the big urban areas and cities. You're trapped. I get it. Heaven gets it. And heaven is giving everybody one last chance. But with that being said, it became very clear to me that this year is going to be chaotic beyond chaotic. Literally, all is going to hit the fan, as they say. All insanity is going to be unleashed. You can say, well, aren't we there now? It's going to get worse. There are forces that be that are specifically focused on undermining human psychological normalcy, with the specific intent of breaking down everything and creating as much chaos as they can, because it is their plan that out of chaos will come order, the order that they seek. Now, you need to understand something very clearly right out of the Bible. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, right? God is the author of light and darkness. God is the creator of light and darkness. God is the creator of good and evil. God is behind this all. We're all familiar with the concept of a duality that exists in other religions. Well, in our Torah, Judaism, we don't accept that. We know that is not true. Anyone who's ever done actual aliyot and ascent sees that this is not true. God is in charge of all. That which we call good and evil, God is using them both for the purpose of the center, for the sake of elevating and expanding human consciousness, to usher in a development in humanity where we can enter into eventually that which we will call a messianic era, however that's going to materialize us. Right now, in order to build, we have a teaching in the Gemara, listur al manat livnot. We break down in order to build up. And we're in that breaking down process. Now, as I was seeing and witnessing the chaos to come, something happened to me that never happened before. I got caught. There were 3 very, very powerful forces. I call them, using, movie language, the dark lords, the real bad guys. No, I'm not talking demons. No such thing. I'm not talking about the Malach Samakel. No, forget that. I'm talking about human beings like Bil'am, psychic entities, like people who are doing astral travel, just like me. The real forces out there. And they observed me. They noticed me. I recognized them. Oh, they're very well-known, famous personalities. I can't mention names, you know that. But if I did, oh, you'd know. Two were American, one was European. And the one of whom was American approached me, literally, very impressive force on me. And he asked me very clearly, point blank, am I here to disrupt their work? And I said to him, you know, I am a servant of God. And I said it in the Aramaic, Ana Abda Dekut, right? I'm the servant of Hashem. My job is to do what Hashem has sent me here to do. Your job is to do what Hashem sent you here to do. He understood that. And he knew that I'm certainly not a threat to his plans because he's a little bit bigger than I am. But I also knew that I had nothing to fear from him because he recognized that God always has a remnant. Those who are chosen by their own righteousness, and God looks after his own. And that's my job. I'm the guy who crazy enough sits out here records videos for the public media to talk about crazy stuff. And I'm sure half of you are rolling your eyes and this guy's a lunatic. You never know. But realistically speaking, we have divine protection for those who are going to walk the path. We're going to separate from the system because the system is out to corral and gather their own. That's their job as divine, as ordained by God. We call this in Hebrew the great Havdalah, the separation. The separation is going to be between the righteous and the wicked, the good versus the bad. Guys, this is not just a Jewish message. You will see that this message transcends all of our religions. I use terms like energy frequency, those who are in literal alignment and balance with the universal forces. Now, that's a very generic way of saying what we in our Torah tradition say, a person who walks the path of Torah. You see, for us, Torah is not about religion. Torah is the vibrational frequency of the balance of the universe. It's actually a midrash, a teaching of our sages, which states that in the beginning, God looked into the Torah and from the Torah created the world. So the Torah is the universal pattern of things. This is something that we know very well. And other faiths understand this concept and idea and apply it within their own contexts. Fine. I'm not worried about arguing, bantering words of religion back and forth. My religion is better than yours. Forget that nonsense. We have a common denominator of righteousness, and we need to stand upon it. And if you do, you will be noticed energetically by the forces that are out here in the world. And you will be marked with the stamp of God. And the stamp of God, as we know from the book of Ezekiel, was always the Hebrew letter Tav. All right? Tav, that's the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Different ways you can spell the letter Tav. One way of which is spelled the Tav, the letter itself, Aleph, Vav. Remember that because I'll get back to it. You're marked, you'll be protected, but only if you have the courage to stand up and do the right things. And part of that might be a very important, necessary relocation. Because if you're going to be in those areas of judgment, kind of like, Sodom and Gomorrah, well, don't think that your righteousness is going to protect it. You have another year of God's grace. We don't earn this. We have not deserved this. This is the hand of God in absolute altruistic mercy, giving us an opportunity for each individual. Get your act together. Do what's right. Separate. Sur merah, like the Psalm says. Separate from evil, because only then, the Osetov, can you do good. Stop relying on fantasy. You know, there's a lot of talk about people being prepared, getting ready. And yeah, you got to start thinking like that. How would you live if the civilization fell? How would you live if we had a collapse of the economy, hit with an EMP? These are all man-made stuff, and the forces that be are trying to do this. But just remember the wise words of the old Scottish poet Robert Burns: best laid plans of mice and men oft go awry. God knows how to mess up the plans. These powerful forces that be, they got their agenda and they're going to do what they're going to do. And, symbolically speaking, God could just take his divine finger and just go, and something happens. And I'm not so sure we won't have an oops moment when the time comes, because that's how divine judgment works. The first night of the holiday, I was shown private things about my personal life, about my family, my students, my school. And private things remain private because that's just the way it needs to be. But even before the holidays started, I had what for me was one of the most profound dream visions that I think I've ever had in my life. And remember, I've been doing this for 40 years now, so I've been around for a while. I saw it for the first time. For the first time I saw it. Indigenous peoples will appreciate this more than most Westerners. The Native Americans will certainly appreciate this more than even members of my own Jewish community. I saw the white buffalo. The white buffalo is a major, significant archetypal expression as seen in a vision and a dream. And I shared a very intimate, bonding, we were snuggling with one another kind of thing, image with it. And I understood very well what that meant. But you need to understand something about the symbol of the white buffalo. It's the archetype of the guide, the leader, the Metatron, the Mashiach, whatever. But what's interesting is when you see what the Hebrew name for a buffalo is. Most people think the Hebrew word for buffalo is buffalo, but no, it's not. You can go look this up in the alkali dictionaries and the like. The official Hebrew word for a buffalo is ta'o, spelled Tav, Aleph, Vav. Tav with a shva, Aleph with a vav with the hold on. Trying to look at that. Get my words out here. Ta'o halavan. When I saw that, I understood everything that was to come later. You see, we are under divine protection. There is the hand of heaven. And you must understand that the forces of evil are real. They are not all powerful. They do not have control. They are literally, they might not like my metaphor, but they are like a dog on a leash, barking, doing what God is allowing them to do. Because our civilization, as we have built it, has, since its foundations, been corrupt. And think about this. You build on a solid foundation, and the building goes up and it stays straight. But if you're on a tilted foundation, the building goes and curves until eventually it collapses. That's where we're at right now. Over a century ago, in my opinion, one of the greatest prophetic minds of the 20th century, Rabbi Abraham Yitzhak Kook, wrote about this in his book, Orot Merofel, and warned Western civilization inevitably has to fall. We're witnessing this now. They're not only destroying the infrastructure of the economy, they're not only destroying the infrastructure of education, they're also psychologically, this is like a psychological operation, it's clearly out of a military manual, destroying the individual psyche. Families are being destroyed. Individual identities are being destroyed. We're literally becoming a civilization of walking mental cases. Literally, I mean, take the DSM-5 manual and look at where people are at today, and you're going to scratch your head and you go, oh my gosh. We use joking metaphors like saying, that the crazies are running the asylum. Well, that's not a metaphor anymore, unfortunately. There's a lot of stuff going on, but we're all, in the eyes of heaven, are souls. Forget about this nonsense about eternal heaven, eternal hell. Forget that. This is all about evolution of souls. And everybody's got to grow. Everybody's got to mature. Everybody's got to elevate. And right now, the earth herself, our mother, we call it the Shekhinah in Hebrew, is demanding progress. Sefirat Malchut. Heaven, by hitting me with that wave, said, this is the last chance. This is the last mercy I'm going to show. We'll have another year. I'm going to tell you there's not going to be nuclear war this year. All right? I hope I'm not wrong, but I'm pretty confident. I have faith in what I see and what I'm shown, and I'm confident in that. But the message to me was most very definitive and urgent. This is our last chance. We have the time. But if we don't use it properly, don't blame heaven for anything that's to come. Take this message seriously. The white buffalo is here. The white buffalo is near. The forces and powers that be are very, very real. They have power over the economy. They have power over the entire system. It's their system. They built it, and they're specifically and intentionally collapsing it, trying to get us as much into that rubble as they can. God only will allow them to take their own. But those who belong to God, they can't touch it, and they know it. And believe it or not, they respect it. But they do have the right to test it. So therefore, guys, hey, I'm telling you like it is, crazy as I may or may not be, whatever. I'm sharing with you what I've been given to share. Take it for whatever you feel it's worth. But we are now in the countdown to Yom Kippur. As I said, it's the night after Rosh HaShana. Tomorrow, in our Torah tradition, it's fast day for us. We commemorate the assassination of the governor of old Judea in the days of Jeremiah the prophet, Gedaliah, who was assassinated by extremist, right-wing, crazy lunatics, who frankly didn't want to go with the picture, the go with the flow as God so ordained. We have crazy lunatics on both sides. Extreme right-wing, extreme left-wing, one is as bad as the other. Our Torah path has always been to stay in that center, and that's where we need to be. Hear me now. Yeah, we need to prepare, but the fight that's going on now is a cosmic fight. It's a fight far beyond just the limitations of political ideologies. There are those who are destined and need to be fighting that battle, because without it, we will all fall. But there are those who need to stand back and fight this battle from behind the scenes in the psychic realm, being true psychic warriors. Please don't send me like emails and ask me how do I do this. You know what? Like I got a dozen books on it out there. I'm not the only one who's written this type of material. If you want to learn, if you feel the calling, learn. Do what you got to do. All right. In that respect, that's why we're here. You want to come join our school and learn with us? Well, that's why we're here. So anyway, we have the time. Pray God, dear God, please use it. We're in a countdown now, as you know, to Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This is the time to get ourselves properly psychically aligned with the universal energy. That's what we call teshuvah, becoming proper and right with God. Please take this message seriously. Apply it in all ways and things. And God's blessings, I pray that mercy of heaven should truly be upon us, as we say in Hebrew, the shalom. Thank you all for listening. As we say, Gamar Chatima Tova, May we all be inscribed in God's great book for life. Thank you again for listening. God bless you all. Shalom.